Head over to my Jesper Nissen SEO channel just to check that it's live. I'll also check it now myself. Head over to my Jesper Nissen SEO channel just to check that it's live. Okay, it is live. I can hear myself and I can see myself. All right, so it's 6 minutes past 6, so let's start. Welcome aboard, Derek.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you inviting me, and I'm glad to be here.
And the topic of today will be podcast links and how to build podcast links. And Derek, it's very interesting because you and me, we never met physically because I live in Denmark and you live in the United States, but we also never talked. But I know about you. I've actually purchased two courses from you. I purchased, of course, the podcast links course in order to prepare myself for today, and I also purchased your GSA link building course. I have to admit, I'm sorry, I didn't watch it yet.
Oh
So
no.
I think I think I purchased it 2 years ago, but I am looking forward to going through that because I've been using Scrapebox for quite a few years now, and of course Yaks that I built and other link building methods. I just love link building, and that's why I talked to Holly and Holly Starks or Holly Cooper, and she told me that I should really talk to you because you're the link building man. You're the link building guy.
Well, Holly knows her stuff when it comes to the gray and the black cat side for sure, especially when it comes to link building. So it's interesting you bring up Scrapebox. That's like an old school guy tool
Yeah.
right there. So I'll tell you this, my favorite purchase was XRummer. Did you ever purchase XRummer back in the
No,
day?
no, no, no.
Back I guess this was probably '08 to 2010 time frame.
Yeah,
Like it was the thing, and it was like this it was marketed as this underground tool.
yeah,
And so you had to message this guy. I think his name on Skype was something like Botmaster or something like that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so you'd have to message him that, hey, I want to buy this, and then he would give you a link, and the link would only be valid for like 2 hours. So you could only message him during this time and this time.
yeah.
And if you've watched the Seinfeld episode, the soup Nazi or whatever, where he says no soup for you, it was the same vibe. It was absolutely my favorite purchase of all time. Like because it was like so secretive,
Yeah.
and you thought you were like getting something like really on the inside, and you had to jump through all these hoops, and then you weren't supposed to talk about it, right? It was the craziest thing. So anyway, I was bringing that up because like you're old school when you start talking about Scrapebox, XRummer, or some of those tools like that.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Also, Money Robot.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I never actually also Money Robot. I never actually tried that. So, but and then there's the Ranker X also, kind of like similar to Money Robot. So, but yeah,
I still like those tools. I still like pushing those tools to I know it's kind of off topic of what we're talking about today, but like I still push those tools to like some of the parasite plays and some of secondary sites and that kind of thing. Like it still works.
so actually, I think that the Money Robot they recently updated their platform to produce AI links. I just saw this guy Indexy, I think he's called. He has a YouTube channel. I don't know if you know who it is. He's talking about affiliate SEO, link building. And he just talked about Money Robot a couple of days ago and their new AI links. So I think I'm going to have to check that out.
So it will build like links on AI platforms. Is that what you're talking about?
No idea. I know I don't know,
Interesting.
no idea, but I'll have to check it out. I just saw a screenshot AI link building. So yeah, very interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's opened up a whole nother world. It's given like me like a new set of skills to learn, and somebody that's been at it for a really long time. I've dove headfirst into this, and so I absolutely love it. Anything else that we can add to the arsenal, I think
Yeah.
it's better.
Yeah. 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 And today we're talking about podcast links, but before we go over to that, I think that you might have prepared a slideshow or not. I don't know. Did you
Yeah,
prepare?
I have. Yeah, I've got a slide here. If you want me to change
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah, not yet, but yeah, but
okay.
before we start, I just wanted to if you could, when did you start doing SEO? What's your background? Did you study something or did you never study? What did you do
So
before SEO?
it's real funny, but like I was a real estate investor guy, right? And so back this was back 2001. I quit my job and I thought, man, I'm going to take on the world. But after 9/11 happened, all the banks stopped lending money, and so I had to start getting real creative with how to acquire properties and that sort of thing. Well, our local economy just went into the tank probably around 2005, and I ended up with probably about I had about 14 or 15 houses, something like that. 12 of them were vacant and I was just shelling out money. And so like all across the newspapers was like this company is moving out, this company's closing down, lost jobs. It was just one thing after and one hit after another. And I got to where I couldn't get 8 phone calls for a rental or owner financing or anything. I just nobody was moving, right? Nobody was. It was just a dead town. It was a small town in Alabama. So this lady comes up and she's like, "Hey, put it. Why don't you try it on eBay?" So I ended up going from getting 8 calls to ended up getting like 8,000 visits on a page, and I was like, something's here. And so that got me into just publishing content about how to do what I was doing with, selling houses on, I started selling houses on eBay. That saved me. So
Okay.
like one by one by one, I was selling them, right? So then I started writing a blog about how I was acquiring them with no credit. Then I got into this launch mode where these real estate guys were launching products. He said, "Hey, why don't you get into this group?" And so they were emailing back and forth, and these were some heavy hitters, right? They were doing like $1 million launches was like a norm back then. And so I ended up starting to do launch jacking before it was coined launch jacking, and I would take up the whole first page. And that's
Could
really,
you, for the people that don't know, have any idea what launch checking is? Could you just explain in brief what it is?
yeah, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time. It's like initially I ranked for the keyword for the product name,
Yeah.
but then I ended up okay, like, hey, there's something here. And so then I just started taking and building new sites, and I just took up the whole first page to target terms like whatever the product name was, the creator's name, or the combination of the product and the creator, and the product plus review and product plus bonus. So all the keywords had really high buyer intent because at the time everybody was part of this syndicate and they were all emailing, and we're talking like millions of emails were going out. So you would have this spillover effect because all the guys were just blasting the same emails over and over and over again. They were just getting swipe emails like what you see in the affiliate game now, just people emailing the same stuff. And so what would happen is people were like, "Oh, I wonder if there's a video, or I wonder if there's more info, or I wonder, so they would turn to Google, and then all of a sudden I would have like anywhere between 5 to 10 spots on the first page, and it was all my stuff, all different websites. We were using stuff like Squidoo lenses back in the day, if you remember those, and YouTube. When YouTube come on the scene, we'd use YouTube.
Yeah.
Just anything we could do to pull it off. And then I was buying EMDs
Yeah.
and for the product name, and I would hit those with tools like XRummer or whatever we had back in the day, like Scrapebox. I would just hammer them, right. Well, they would start popping. the next launch the next launch I would go out and buy another set of EMDs. And one day I got to thinking, I was like, wait a minute, I just built links to this one. Of course I didn't know what I was doing at the time. Like, I'm just going to see if I just change out the homepage to this new product launch. I'm going to see what happens here. It would pop in like 2 or 3 days just because I was putting, content that was relevant to that. And
Hmm.
so that was really how I built my first private blog network, was doing the launch jacks, but it was all based off of EMDs of the product names. And then I would just reuse them for the future launches. So I did that for a couple of years, just milking that as much as I possibly could.
So we're talking in the 2004, 5, 6, 7, something like
Probably
that.
more like 2005 to 2009 time frame, somewhere around in there, in that ballpark of that.
Basically talking about interlinking a series of exact match domains and boosting their authority by using Scrapebox, basically.
Right.
That's what I
Scrapebox and any XRummer,
yeah.
any tools. There was some other one called
All just
Six
spam,
Submitter,
spam, 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 spam.
100% spam. And what was weird was like the same kind of conversation was going on back then. Like in '05 to 2010, when I was just like that was just me getting my feet wet kind of thing. Like, and then I was like, oh wow, there's something here. So I just dove head first into that. But what ended up happening was people in 2005 to 2010 were talking the same kind of talk that they're talking now about AI. You know, AI is going to, AI, people say, hey, AI is going to get you slapped and this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
It was the same thing back then, but it was backlinks. But the thing is we had from probably the 2000s till probably about 2012 before Google actually did anything. And that was really when Panda, there was some updates along the way, but nothing hit quite like what Panda did. And so, like, you had years to just milk it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where you could basically just do anything.
And so I did during these launches, it kind of got my name out there, right? And so then what ended up happening was this guy, he comes up and he says, "Hey, I want you to do some SEO for me." And he was a best-selling author. And what ended up happening is I was getting results for him because I was doing like reputation management. He had some bad stuff on the first page, so
Mm.
ended up getting that and getting him pushed up to the top. And to get to where what I'm saying is they were afraid that what I was doing was illegal.
Mm. Oh,
So it was like, oh, what are you doing? Is this going to get us in trouble? Is this going to get us slapped? Is this going to get us, are we going to get, is this going to, are we going to face crimes because because of this stuff? It's like, no, 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 no. It's totally above board, but it
yeah.
is on the gray slash dark side of link building. But I'm just saying that because that's what and it's relevant to what we're talking about here because a lot of people are saying some of the same stories, but
Yeah.
instead about links, it's about AI and AI content and using AI content.
Yeah. So Frank has a comment ready to learn, happy to learn about these tools, mentioned if they still work. Does Scrapebox still work? Is Core still a tool? Yeah, I think we are waiting with the questions until the end, Frank. So yeah, and that leads us into today's topic because podcast and podcast links. So the reason that we are having this webinar is because I love link building and I know that you love link building. And when I think of podcast, I don't think of a podcast as a link building method. Or I didn't think of podcast as a link building method until recently. But things change all the time, and yeah, so that's why you're here, Derek. So I think that I will let you share your screen to.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm going to hit send request
oh yeah, like that.
and we'll go right here. I think you should see my screen now.
Yep, we can see it.
And if I were to pop in there, is that still showing the keynote right there, or is that or the
We can see both the slide, and then we on the left side we can see all the slides that you have in line.
Okay. I was wondering because I'm wanting to open up a few browsers here in just a moment to kind of show people what some of the stuff that we've done. So I'm gonna hit play and then we'll make sure you still see this. Should be good to go. All
Yep,
right. I'm ready when you guys are.
we are ready.
All right, cool. So we are going to be talking, as we discussed already, about how we're building authority, how we're building out our brands using 100% AI podcasts, and how we're doing it on complete autopilot. The thing is, you don't have to use your voice, you don't have to touch a microphone, you don't have to have expensive equipment or anything like that. I'm going to show you some of the things that we've done. I'm going to show you some examples. Like I discussed already, my name is Derek Pierce. I'm not a robot. I am an SEO, old school SEOer. I am from Alabama. Been at this for about 15 or 20 years, seen just about everything that there possibly is. And I think this is one of the best link building methods that you can find right now. And it's often overlooked. And a lot of the reason why it's overlooked is because people think from the standpoint of what you used to have to do, which was getting in front of a camera, getting in front of a microphone, or having a professional studio, or worrying about editing and all that sort of stuff. That's no longer the case, as you'll see here in just a moment. This is a completely cool, unique way to tap into a great source of traffic. But the main thing that you want to keep in mind here is everything that we are building, not only are we building out something for our brand, and when I say brand, I don't mean like cute little logos or taglines or whatever. When I say brand, building a presence essentially off on the web. So anytime I mention brand from here on out, that's all I'm saying is we're building a presence across the web. Give me a one if everybody follows me on that. Just drop a one. Let me know. All right, cool. The thing is building a presence right now is more important than ever, and you can do this completely automated. And as a matter of fact, the traffic source has been even contributed to helping win the last U.S. presidential election. It's just a fact. It's because he was able to tap into media that had been untapped before, and now you can tap into the same media using podcast. So, what if you could in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you how to leverage AI to build a brand authority without touching a microphone. Do it for about 10 to probably about 15 cents a pop, somewhere in the ballpark of that, and allow you to show up. I'm going to show you some real examples here in just a moment of where you can show up for your brand, but also not only can you show up for your brand, you can also show up for the people also ask questions. And the main thing that you want to do is you want to build this to where you've got relevancy for your topics. So if you think about it, what I was saying, building a brand, building a presence across all of the web, you want to have a presence, but you also want to be talking about the things that you want to compete on. You want to have relevancy, and you want to be able to speak on all of these different platforms. I saw you talking about that on a video, Jasper. I was watching some of your videos yesterday, and I saw a video where you were talking about how to show up in the AI overviews, and you were talking about how you wrote the blog post, and then you posted something similar. You created another one on LinkedIn, and I think you went to Reddit. Is that right?
Yeah, Reddit, LinkedIn, Facebook, of course, YouTube video, blog post, these guys. Yeah, Medium also. Yeah.
Right. And so what we're doing something really, really similar with the same regards, where you're then able to expand that into podcast platforms. So we're talking about high authority sites like um, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, some of the big players in the space that have really high authority. And the reality, though, is at this point in the game, a lot of people are facing a lot of content creation overwhelm, like what we were talking about before. A lot of the AI, so many AI tools that are launching, it's ended up costing people to be just drowning in content creation, platform management, technical requirements, distribution challenges, because all of these different platforms typically have a different interface. And so you either have to learn all of these different skills, or you have to have a staff to be able to pull it off. And the reason that we want to be everywhere is just so we can show up at the top of Google and also show up at the top of AI search now. And that's becoming more and more of a thing. But what I'm seeing right now, in addition to being overwhelmed with all of this, is a lot of people right now are just focusing on endless content creation from the standpoint of text. How many of you have seen where you've seen people say, hey, I got slapped by AI, but if you were to look at their sites like I have, you would probably see something along the lines where they just built out hundreds or thousands of articles on a blog way too quick, or they have no brand mention, no brand authority, no presence on the web. I know you've seen this, have you not? Whenever you do any kind of analysis on this, you see this happening over and over and over again, where you see just blanketed because everybody's putting the emphasis on creating content. And when I say creating content in this context, I'm meaning text. What they're missing is having any kind of brand authority, any kind of brand presence, creating quality backlinks, and cross platforms. We want to be everywhere. So what's actually happening here? AI tools being used wrong, no brand building strategy, no link building strategy, no authority building. And as a result, you may see, if you're launching AI content on domains, you may see that it climbs, but over time it then will drop if you don't have these other aspects going. So rankings will plateau, authority stagnates, brand influence fails to grow, and then your competitors are going to pull ahead. So here's the cool part, though. Talking about all of that stuff, right? Here's the cool part. AI technology is allowed us to do a lot of incredible things. You've now can have tools that interact with each other like never before, creating AI and automation rules that will allow you to tap into some of the things that we're going to be talking about. Google has continuously focused on brand, building that presence like we were talking about. And what you're able to do is to launch these particular platforms in pretty much a single afternoon and be able to show up on some of the biggest platforms that are out there, and all of this can flow back to your site and build up your overall authority and having a multi-channel preference. Of course, as what I said before, we're talking about podcasts. These are some of the most overlooked platforms for SEO. Part of the reason is because if you think about it, most SEOers, and I know this was me back in the day, Jasper, I don't know, I didn't want to be in front of a microphone. I didn't want to be in front of a camera. I didn't even want to touch. This has become a learned thing for me over like many, many years of getting in front of a camera and getting in front of a microphone. People will say, "Hey, you look like you know what you're talking about." It's like, because I've done it for so long and I can talk about this stuff, like I can talk about this stuff in my sleep. But initially, one of the things that drew me to SEO was I did not want to be in front of a microphone.
It takes time to get used to actually talk in front of the microphone and in front of the camera. Yeah, that takes some used to. But yeah.
The thing is people typically hate their voices, and I'm from Alabama, and my voice is not the greatest voice in the world, and so like I was like, I don't like the way I sound. Everybody else is the same exact way. And typically, when you're in the SEO game, you fall into that arena. Plus, a lot of people, like let's say if you are looking at just your traditional businesses like roofers, plumbers, dentists, automotive shops, HVAC guys, they don't want to do this either. They don't want to do podcasts. They don't want to sit in front of a microphone. They don't have time to do it. They're worried about payroll. They're worried about this guy showing up or that gal showing up. And the reality is they don't have time to do this, which presents an opportunity for you once you know how to implement some of these rules that we're talking about using AI and automation. The numbers don't lie, though. If you were to go out and were to pay for a professional podcast, you're looking at some pretty expensive numbers. You're looking at probably between $350 to $1,000 an episode. You're looking at spending hours perfecting and writing scripts, expensive equipment. You're looking at having a lot of time invested in this versus our automated approach, which is roughly 10 to 15 cents an episode. And like I was saying before, not to get political at all, but many people credit this last U.S. election as the podcast election because this was tapped as the media source that people had not tapped before, quite like what had happened. So the reality is you can have your brand everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, and I'll show you some of these here in just a moment. But each one of these is like your own separate channel, your own separate piece of real estate for your particular brand. And what happens is when you're everywhere, Google sees you as legitimate. You build backlinks automatically, and you're also able to get platform specific traffic. Let's look at this real quick. This is an example. If I were to build out a reputation management, something along those lines, and I were to go out, this is what I would want to see. I would want to see the first 3 or 4 results taken up for this particular brand. And this is a site that I have just set up with the podcast model just to show us some examples. And you can see we're number 1 for our brand. You can see our Spotify account is showing up number 2 there. And then you got Amazon number 3. Now, reputation management is big money in the SEO world. And this gives you other properties that you can use to leverage to show up for their particular brand. Also, this right here ranked in a day. I did this for the SEO crowd, Ranker X versus Money Robot. Now, this was done back in April, but this ranked in one day. This showed up at the top of the AI overview / snippet on the right-hand side. And as of now, we are still got 2 sites showing up in the top 10 for this particular keyword. One of them is our Spotify link that you see here, and another is the Big Beard Marketing site as well. So what we're talking about doing is building a brand presence, building relevant links, and drive rankings in Google and get found in AI. It's also great for people also ask questions. Now, here's the reality. I don't care if people listen to these podcasts or not. Okay. I really don't, because all I'm using these for is for a presence. I'm using them for links. I'm leveraging them for the links. And that's all I care about. I don't care if people listen to them. I want them to be decent, but it doesn't matter if somebody, listens to it or not. I want them to I just want to leverage it for the links. This is Liam. He's a buddy of mine that I helped set up with these right here. And this was after he set these up, and he's like, those PAAs are pretty powerful. I'm amazed how well those are working. And then I said, you mean using those for the pods? And he said, yes. And I just said, dude, I love to hear that. I hadn't heard that from you. He said, yeah, I've been posting weekly, so he's not going crazy with this, just putting his foot in the water. And these are showing up for the people also ask questions. So basically, he's putting in people also ask questions. He's running it through the podcasting system. And as a result, the people he's working with are showing up. Now he's doing this for some of his clients like we were talking about, like automotive shops, roofers, dentists, that kind of thing, that typically wouldn't be able to utilize these types of platforms. This also helps you get found not only in Google, but also helps you get found in AI overviews as well as the AI search, because after all, we want to be everywhere, because the AI models are finding data from everywhere, as you guys probably are already aware. So the old way, ours recording and editing, expensive equipment, got to write the perfect script. At least that's in my mind. I always worried about, okay, what am I going to say on these things? Here's the reality. AI is doing all of this for us now. So we just throw all of this in the trash. And the new way is no recording needed, not writing anything. Like literally, I'm not writing anything. I'm pasting in keywords or pasting in the questions, and those are my podcast titles. And then the AI is going out building the outlines. It's going out then building the scripts based on what I'm looking for, and then it's recording it. And you can do a couple of different things. You can record through. You can have this system set up with 11 Labs, or you can do through ChatGPT. ChatGPT is cheaper, but we set one up with Bradley Benner from this past week. We did one with his tree care stuff, and his voice sounded perfect. Like I couldn't tell a difference in using, and when we published them, I couldn't tell the difference between his voice and the AI voice. It come out perfect. Cool thing is you can set this up 24/7 and running 10 to 15 cents an episode. And you don't need a ton of these like Lim was doing, 1 to 2 a week. A-okay doing that. So each episode can drive a relevant link to your brand. That's something else that's important, is when you're building links, you want relevancy. So by having these podcast titles, by having the descriptions, you're able to add some relevancy to these as well. So let's take a look at some of these in action. I'm going to show you some of the podcast channels. I'm going to stop the screen share here just for a second, and then I'll add it back here. Let me do this real quick. And if you're enjoying the call, let me know by dropping a 1 in the chat box if you learned some stuff.
Yeah, I am enjoying it. I think it's awesome.
Appreciate it.
So did I understand you correctly in that you ranked in one day for Ranker? What was it?
Yeah, it was Ranker X. Yeah, all I did was I just run it through an indexer. That was it. I didn't do any backlinking or anything like that. So, and I'll show you this here.
Oh, that is extremely fast, because indexing these days is a little bit slower than it used to be.
Yes, you should see my desktop now. And I'm going to minimize that. All right, so everybody see my desktop now? Let's do a search for that and see if that shows up. You still see my desktop?
Yes, we see it.
Okay.
I can see that you're writing Ranker X versus Money Robot, I think that you're trying.
Yeah, I'm not a great speller, so that's one of the advantages of AI has happened is it fixes my spelling. So we're not showing up here. Well, right there it is on the, I guess right there. If I went to show all, you see it's right there at the top. But if we look down here, this is what's cool. Is it's still, I've not done anything to do this, and you see it's still showing up right here. And then you've got our Big Beard marketing site right here. So that's still showing up since April. Not done anything to that at all. But let me just show you where all this really starts from. So in this case, we are doing these. We're doing these podcasts here, right? So you'll see Ranker X versus Money Robot. This is the last one that I did. Again, just to kind of show some of the things that you can do with this. But I'm going to refresh this and show you something real quick here. So I'm going to just refresh this. Okay, did you see what just happened? Everybody see what just happened while I refreshed that?
I didn't see it, but could you try once more? Or is it?
So what happened here? You had to look close. This was published while we were on this call.
Ah, so that one. Okay, Carl Jackson, he noticed it, and all we were all sleeping, but
Yeah.
one quick guy, he noticed it. New one.
So yeah, so what I did was I set the schedule up to run about 15, 20 minutes while we were talking and doing the introductions. And I thought, oh, this would be cool. So people could see this happening in real time, to see that I'm not having to like technically like pull some strings behind the scenes while we're running. You saw this actually while we're live on the call here. And so let me just show you. You can see this is the where we did the post here. This was published, it says 4:20, but that's the server time or whatever. This was just done just now. So yeah, so that kind of, I thought that was kind of cool here. This is so this is where this starts from. This is the podcast that shows up on our sites. I like to do this to where we host the site, or we host the podcast, because we have a lot more control over it whenever we do that, and we just publish it onto our sites. This is an example of that. Let's just move this down right here and show you a couple other ones. This is the one that we just set up for Bradley with his tree care business, and this one turned out great. You see this one, this launched. We've been back and forth running with this thing for the last few weeks, but you see, had one published here on Monday. And so whenever you click on this, you can see there is a description, and then you've got a link here that points back to his call to action right there inside the description, driving a link back to that site. So not only is he uploading content that's relevant to his marketing and to his niche, then he also is driving a link back to it, and also he has a brand presence as well. Now, we used 11 Labs, but if you listen to this one, this sounds just like him. It's a perfect clone to his actual voice, and it turned out really, really well. If you look at this one here, this is another one we did back a couple of months ago. This was for our Huntsville SEO show. And I did this one just to show like what some stuff could sound like. So I'm just gonna play this. Maybe you guys can hear this. Hang on a second. I'm gonna see if I can move you hear a little like a southern gal, kind of a little sassy kind of thing. We programmed the AI to make her sound this way. So I'm just gonna play this. Let me know if you can hear this. Hang on.
Hey y'all, it's your favorite SEO truth teller, Brianna Arden, and today's show is called How to Turn PPC into a Six-Figure Income Machine. And trust me, it's juicier than your aunt's Facebook drama.
Did you guys hear that? Let me know in the chat box. Did you hear that? And could you make anything out of that? Cool, cool, cool. All right, so it sounded unique, right? Now, not every one of them sounds like that. We just tried to, yeah, somebody said perfect for your audience. Exactly. So we're in Alabama, and so obviously that probably would resonate a little bit. Now, still for this particular site, we are for this particular one, we're ranking in the top 5. We were floating 1 and 2 for Huntsville SEO and some of the Huntsville SEO related terms. This last update, we have dropped down to about floating between 4 and 5. So we're still in the top, but this is one of the backlinks that we have created, is having this presence here on these podcasts. So you can see we've got Spotify. We've also got Amazon Music. So this is another one with the big beard. So you can see here, this is the April 23rd. I'm going to refresh this one and to see if our new one has populated yet. And we'll just take a look at this. So there, you see right there, buy Reddit accounts. This is our latest one that we created while we were on the call. So you can see right here where it says learn the complete strategy for Reddit market. Click here for our full guide. This right here will then go to this. This is an affiliate account for buy Reddit accounts. Again, I just wanted to show you like how you can use some of these to manipulate and plug in the links that you want to. And you can see right here, then this drives a link back to our site. So again, one, you're building a presence for your brand. Two, you're driving a link. And three, you can then use these to sort of rank as a parasite play if you wanted to for some of the longer tail keywords and whatnot. So then we go to this one right here. This is another one. This one's on Pandora. You see this is showing up here for Pandora. And then we've also, you got, these other ones that will pick you up as well, like Listen Notes. And there's some others as well. So at the end of the day, you're just blanketing. And yes, these are the same podcast episodes. You're blanketing them across the web. Think of it like if you were going out and you were a brand new company, you were a Coke, you were a Pepsi, or if you were a Gatorade or whatever, you would want to protect your brand all across, and you would want to have a presence all across the web. That's the same exact thing that what we're doing here. Is Brianna a real person? No, that is not a real person. That is somebody that I made up just to use as an example to show, a female, kind of a Southern sassy sound. So you can see that one. And then also this is another guy that we made up. This is the buy Reddit accounts one that we just did here. So I'm just going to let you listen to this.
I do not create content about purchasing.
Now, one of the things that you will see here, whenever you're doing some of these, like what we're talking about, sometimes the AI will use this, like in this case, like on my buy Reddit accounts. It may not want to do that particular topic, but let's listen to this one. This one's a Ranker X and the Money Robot. Hang on one second.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite big bearded marketer, Chris Porter, and today's show is called Ranker X versus Money Robot SEO Tools Showdown. What if the SEO tool?
All right, so you guys get the idea. You can use these different tones, these different voices to fit your market and to match your market. So someone says, Brianna, a real person, she's hot, I want her number. No, you're not getting their number. You have to buy SEO services through them to get to talk to her. But that is what we're doing here. We're starting with the AI bots to build the titles, to build the description, to then go out and not only does it build the script, it records the audio. This particular one was built using ChatGPT. Yes, a lot of people don't realize this, but you can tap into ChatGPT with API to be able to create these audios and to create these voices, and they sound really, really good. They've come a really long way when it comes to this. So there's that. The other thing is we are just posting in the questions that we want answered, or we're posting in a keyword, and everything else is handled from there, from the titles, descriptions, to cranking out the full script, to the audio, then the submission, and then the syndication all across the web. Everything is literally handled. You don't have to sit in front of a microphone or anything like that. As a matter of fact, you set this up based on the schedule that you want, and you let it run from there. So let me go back here, and you should be able to see my screen. Let me know if you guys have enjoyed what I've showed you so far. Just drop a 1 in the chat box. Give me a 1. Cool. Now, some of you guys are more advanced, more sophisticated. You could then set up also syndication to go to other stuff where you're sharing it on LinkedIn and you're sharing it across all of these other channels as well. Literally, you could do whatever you wanted to do with these particular platforms once you are creating these podcasts. So let's go back in here to screen share mode. You should be able to see my screen now. And what we're doing is we're automating, we're using AI, and we're distributing it all, and we are not having to touch it. We don't want to deal with any of this stuff. We want to set automations and AI to our advantage. And what we're using is we are using readily available tools, the same ones a lot of major companies use for their process. And these are either free tools or dirt cheap that anyone can get going without spending a fortune on expensive software. So I've done the hard work. I was talking this past week and I was like, do you know how long I took like tweaking this and testing all of the different things that you can do with this and modifying all of this different stuff? We tweaked this for months on end, just trying to get this dialed in the best way that we possibly can. And we've done it. And we've now got the blueprints to work where you can tie this in very, very easily. And that way you can adapt these same blueprints for whatever niche that you're wanting to go into without having to figure it out yourself, without having to tinker and waste a lot of time like what I did. Now, if you were to go out and try to do this the old school way, this would cost you, $500 to $2,000 in recording equipment, software, anywhere from $200 to $500 a year, professional editing, $200 an episode, then distribution. Your time is going to be 4 to 8 hours an episode versus what we're doing now, where you can just paste keywords into a sheet. Now, I will show you the sheet here. We tie this into Google Sheets. And this is where we just plug in the keywords that you can see right here. And then what happens is the software and tools that we work with goes out and it then will, based on the schedule that we are running, will then pull the keyword and then build everything out, which is why I want to introduce you the AI automated podcasting system. This is the complete automation blueprint that you just saw. This is what we are using to build links. This is what we're using to build authority. And this is what we're using to increase our rankings in both Google as well as the AI search. These are ready to implement, proven systems. And these are things that you can implement as well. So here's what's included. If you jump inside the AI automated podcast system, you get our complete automation blueprints, you get our content distribution system and the distribution accelerator. Now, when you jump in this, these are pre-built sequences. These are pre-built workflows that you can import. And there is step-by-step guides ready to walk you through the entire process. So the way that it works, these are automated workflows that you can just simply import into your system. And we built this to where, let's say you are working with some attorneys or some clients that are really picky about what you publish. There's a way that you can set this up to where it's semi-automated. I know in like some of the legal niches, if you're in your SEO agency for some of the legal niches, then what you will find is some of those are real picky and you have to be really guarded about what you plug in there. There's ways to proof the content before it goes out to the web. So you can do this in a fully automated way or a semi-automated way if that's something there. So then you have the quality control options of that. So what we're doing here is multi-platform publishing, as you saw, SEO optimization, and authority and brand building. Someone I know, if they haven't asked already, is going to ask about the voices. That's why I tried to share some of the voices that you heard. Start with AI, basic voices using ChatGPT, just get the ball running. Our ball rolling, not running. I don't guess balls run, but they get the ball rolling. And then if you want to upgrade to a premium where you use something like 11 Labs, you can do that as well. And you can integrate the voice control, giving your workflow for maximum efficiency. These are blueprints that are integrated inside of Make, if you're familiar with that. I know someone asked that right there. This is using that, and this is a full training on how we are doing that, and you again the full blueprints as well. So, who is this for? This is for business owners, agencies, marketers, as well as brand builders and reputation managers. This will help you for ranking, period. They will show up for your brand and they will show you and deliver you links on complete autopilot. So, real world value, you're looking at $22.91 if you were to break all of this down. And today, you are not going to pay anywhere close to that. As a matter of fact, you're not even going to pay the investment for the normal investment, which is $6.95. When you join today, we put a coupon code in for everyone that is on the call that you can get in at $300 off, and you can get it in for the one-time investment of $395. This is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. Put it to the test for 30 days. If you're not happy, then simply reach out to me. And if we can't fix whatever that you need help with, then obviously we'll give you a full refund. But I'm confident that we can get it up and running, and we can get it up and running to your liking. Go to DerekPierceTraining.com/Jesper. We'll put that into the chat box here in just a moment. But when you join today, you get a $300 coupon that's automatically applied at the checkout. So what you want to do is you want to go through and look at that, and let's go through the bonuses. We have put together a number of these blueprints available where you can just clone our blueprints. These are complete frameworks, are complete processes from generating the scripts to generating the audios to submissions. And also those are for the semi-automated as well. For, like I said, for those of you that are a little bit more quality control oriented, you can do that as well. You also get our conversion to prompts framework. This is how I generate the prompts to generate the different audio sounds and the different attitudes of each one of the audio personas that we build. You can using this is exactly how we're building out these prompts, because the quality that you have going through this is all relative to the prompts that you plug into it. And so there is a way that we do this, and I'm going to show you how in this particular framework. So you're getting everything today. Just go to DerekPierceTraining.com/Jesper. Again, you got a 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. There's zero risk on your part. And these bonuses are worth more than your entire investment, because I'm going to show you exactly how to pull this whole thing off, and along with the blueprints that you can directly import into the system. So drop me a line in the chat box below if you've got any questions, and I'll be happy to take any of the questions that you may have. And I'm going to go ahead and address a couple that we have seen in previous times that we've done this presentation. Do I need technical experience? No, you don't need technical experience. These automation blueprints are something that you can import. As a matter of fact, Liam, he's like, dude, if you can show this farmer guy how to do this, then anybody can set this up. And so and I'm from Alabama, so I have to break this down in a super simple way that I can understand it, and I believe you'll be able to plug this in as well. And the second question that I get a lot of times is about the voice quality. What if I don't like it? Again, remember, you have complete control over this. So I recommend start it with the basic voices using ChatGPT. These are running about 10 to 14 cents, maybe 15 cents an episode, depending on how long the podcasts are. But you get to be in complete control. Get going with that. Then if you want to upgrade, you can always upgrade to something like 11 Labs and have a voice clone like the one that you saw that we did for Bradley. You have complete control over this. So start with the ones that cost pennies, then upgrade as your business grows. So again, go here, and I will drop this link in the chat box if it hasn't been already. And I'm going to open this back up here. Let's see here.
So, Derek, we have a question from Steve, and I think that's something that probably we're all wondering about. How much time does it take to set this up?
You can set one of these up in an afternoon, and once you get the first one set up, it goes a lot like really quick. So the biggest thing that is just that initial, like the little bit of learning curve of learning where everything's at and how everything flows, and testing to see which, see if you like the voices and things like that. But it can be done in a single afternoon for sure.
Okay, that sounds that sounds awesome, and I have seen some of your videos, so you are showing how to do it. So it's yeah.
Can this be used as a template setup for hyper local service based business for ranking location pages? When you say a local service based business, what does that mean? Like a really like a super active one, or I'm just curious. But this can be used for any of the 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 local setups that you want to build. Yeah, it could 100% be. There's not another platform that I know of that does what we're talking about, where it's on full automation, like where you put the keywords into a sheet and then schedule it out. Yeah, 20 or 30 location pages is no problem. Yeah, 100%. And the thing is like a lot of these like service-based businesses, none of them are doing this. Like none. it's it's like they a lot of people don't realize that's why this is kind of a unique opportunity, is because a lot of them haven't caught on that, hey, I can manipulate the AI to build out a lot of this content and build out a lot of these podcast episodes, and I can hit a whole nother platform, several different of these platforms, and it's just not being done. So if you take this into the local space, uh, this is going to be good for your clients.
And so David Kennedy is asking something about Notebook LM.
Yeah, I don't know much about that. I know that this is the only thing that I know of that will allow you to do this where you're not having to do like onesie twosie. That's the benefit of this, is where you're able to create the schedule and it just runs for you all the time. So like while we're on this webinar, you saw a podcast episode being created. So I don't want to sit here in front of a computer. I want to say, okay, I've got two times a week, 3 times a week. It's going to run on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 o'clock a.m. And I want this automatically published. And then we're off to the races. Like I don't have to look at it again. Like once I set that up and somebody says, hey, how long does this take? If you set it up in a single afternoon, but you're not having to deal with it moving forward, like you just set up the schedule and it just runs, right? It's like you don't have to think about it anymore.
And then yeah, so Adrian is asking, and it's I think that Adrian's question is, this a platform that does the work, or I should say blueprints showing the processes, tools, etc.
Say that again now.
Yeah, he's asking if it's a platform that does this work, or is it blueprints showing the processes, tools? So it is a course. It is,
Yeah,
but
it's a course with the blueprints that you import into Make. So like you don't have to like stress about trying to figure it all out. You just import the blueprints and follow our instructions, and you're off to the races.
and then Ed Ryan is asking if we need to purchase aged Reddits to make this work.
To purchase what kind of credits? Let me see here.
Reddit accounts, aged Reddit accounts.
No. That was an example of the podcast episode that we built. Because like people were like, if you wanted to like build out an affiliate page for buy Reddit accounts, that's like an affiliate term. So that was just one of the terms that we had in our list um, of our sheet. No, and you don't need anything to do with Reddit to do that.
And Kyle is asking, does it create the podcast episode based on an already completed location page or blog, or is it just based off of a keyword?
You can do either. You could, if you wanted to trigger it off, like let's say you're building out a page or building out a site, and you got multiple location pages, and you're dripping the location pages out. You could then have that. You could have that then to trigger the podcast episode. So we've got some where we are building out, a blog post, and then we say, okay, once this blog post gets posted, it triggers okay, write a blog or write a podcast about this particular blog post. We've done it that way too. So it's completely up to you on what you do in that regard.
Yeah, so it's just, I think it's a good question because Kyle's question is something that we're all thinking about because we all have blog posts, we have a website, or we do have service pages. And so it's not something that's going to trigger anything because they've already been created. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
we want to
yeah
take an existing blog post and create a podcast based off that.
Yeah,
Right.
you could do that too. Like what you could do is if you've already published it, you could just export all of the content that you've got, and like what I'll do is I'll run to I'll just if I'm trying to get to see what I've already built. Quick way is just popping a sitemap into ChatGPT and saying, "Hey, give me all the keywords from here." So you could do it that way, and then start publishing them on each one. If you haven't, like I said, you could trigger it based on when new posts happen. You could build it off of that. Totally up to you. Something else there's some more advanced ways that you can really dial this in to where like one of the things that I'm using do you think it's okay to like talk a little bit more advanced stuff on here?
Yep.
Okay, so one of the things that we are doing right now on one of the sites is we're building everything on a subdomain, and on the subdomain we're gonna no index it, and we're gonna put every freaking question that we that we can possibly imagine um, on that particular subdomain, and then we're just gonna use it for links.
I see.
So that pod every time we're going to generate all the podcast episodes on that subdomain that is no indexed, and then we're going to be using it to syndicate to all of the SoundClouds, the Spotify's, the Amazon, the Apples, all of those. So that way, all the links will then go back to the main domain, right? So that's one of the ways that I'm doing something similar to what you're asking. If you've already got a site up and you've already got the pages and everything built, and I want to build out a ton of these questions because I've seen a lot of sites that have gotten hit by having way too much content on that particular topic because they're pulling in every single keyword that probably should have been lumped into one big guide or one big post. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is because I still want to hit these questions because these are questions that people are gonna be typing in. I'm gonna put I'm gonna set up a subdomain, a completely different blog. I'm gonna no index the whole subdomain, and I'm going to pop these questions in as podcast episodes and just use it to syndicate out to all these platforms, driving links back to our main page.
And Kyle, he's asking to show that in the training. I think that Kyle, he's referring to taking an existing blog post and converting it to a podcast. I don't know if you kind of already replied to that question.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're using this, and then someone else asked about the subdomain like a private syndicate. Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Just to milk the links and the authority off of the podcast platforms. Again, that's a lot more advanced. I have not talked about that before, but I kind of assumed that we were in a little bit more of a sophisticated and a little more advanced group here about some of the questions that were coming through here.
Yeah, so Carl is asking, is there a Facebook group or something else where we can keep evolving the strategies together?
No Facebook group for me. I get too distracted when when I'm Facebook, and and Facebook has a tendency of killing accounts too.
Yeah, I just I just got my account back today, this morning actually.
Oh, congratulations.
I got it suspended, but yeah, I'm back again.
That's good. Now you'll know not to talk about getting indexed, right? In
Yeah,
Facebook.
it is, but it is completely crazy. I made a post about indexing Facebook pages in Google, and that got me suspended. I actually encourage people to use Facebook more. It's just, yeah, it's mad.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used to have a Facebook group back in the day, and what I realized was I was spending way too much time in there, and it doesn't allow me to like do the things that like this. And so it just didn't. It's just not one of those things that I enjoyed. I like getting on in Facebook and talking crap and that kind of stuff as much as anybody, but it was just taking too much of a time suck. So I killed them all off. And but I'm happy to answer your questions. Like if you jump inside, shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to take a look at what you got. And if you're running into any trouble, I can kind of help you troubleshoot some of the stuff that you may be going through. I do recommend the self-hosted option when it comes to these. I had a couple of options in there. One was using through SoundCloud. I do recommend the self-hosted option, like what you saw on the Big Beard site, just because you have way more control over it. And currently, SoundCloud's got something wonky going on with their API, but I'm assuming that's going to be resolved real soon. But the self-hosted option is the way to go. You have way more control. You can totally manipulate the anchor text and the hyperlinks inside of the content with by going the self-hosted route.
So we have a comment from YouTube, and it's a guy, Drum and Bass Classics, that is commenting. I like podcast links. I use Transistor for distribution. So that's just a comment. He's using
Yeah,
Transistor. Yeah.
I've not used them. I've never went with them. I used Libsyn and some other stuff, but I've not used them.
No. I think that,
Self-hosting,
yeah,
self-hosting. Go
no.
ahead.
Yeah, I think that Transistor is a subscription. I don't know if they take them down if you cancel the subscription. I don't know. I haven't used Transistor myself.
Here's a good question. What's the cost for the self-hosting? It's just, you've got WordPress that you're gonna populate it into is the big thing. And then if you wanted to do something like if you wanted to tie it into Amazon or something along those lines, you could do that. But so it's very inexpensive. Like this is the cheapest way that you could set these up, doing it the way that we're doing it. And I should say like the easiest way to do it, because like you spend an afternoon setting it up, then you pop. All you got to do at that point is just make sure that you keep your sheets populated with keywords and that you want to target. Yeah. So sometimes whenever you are talking about questionable things, like Claude, Claude is the thing that I like to use more than anything. But sometimes they don't like to create content about things that they deem as like black hat or something like that. So that is why the podcast episode started by saying I do not. I do not create content about black hat it was because they deem buying Reddit accounts as a black hat method. So that's the reason that was that way. But again, it is what it is. I don't really care. I'm looking at it, using it for the links, and that's all I care about. Yes, there's full training with this to walk you through the whole process, and then you have support from me. Just drop me a line and I'll be happy to assist you any way I possibly can. Like we've set a number of these up, and pretty much have seen just about everything that I think that we could see when it comes to these.
All right, so it seems that we don't have any more questions. Do you have any more questions, guys? Because we've been talking for a little bit more than 1 hour now.
Does Zoom cut you off at an hour?
No, 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 no. It's just no.
I I tell you how old school I am. I'm still using the old
Oh,
GoToWebinar account. I've had it for like 10 or 12 years.
yeah,
And so Zoom is like I know my way around it, but like I'm not as familiar with it as I am GoToWebinar. So when you said I booked it for an hour, and I was thinking like I wonder if they're gonna boot us off, boot me off after an hour. So I was trying to like kind of speed through the presentation a bit.
yeah. No, no. I have. I don't know. I have the professional account in Zoom. I don't remember what I pay, but it's yeah. I think I can have up to 500 participants. So yeah, it's nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was good though. I enjoyed this. I love the questions. Someone said, let's see here. Mad. I love that. That's genius. We didn't even say that comment. That was like the best comment of the day.
Yeah. Matt, I love that. That's genius.
Yeah, that's like the best comment there is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Derek, this has been a pleasure. It's certainly the most advanced topic that I've been talking about on these webinars. So yeah, it's uh it's both advanced, but at the same time you can set it up in an afternoon, as you're saying. So it's
Yeah, look, it's just a little bit of a learning curve, but this will be like once you get the first one down, like you can knock it out in no time. And for those of you that have a VA or have a team of people, you could hand this off to somebody to just knock this out in no time. So as far as like how long it takes, the first one is one afternoon, but after that you can knock out a couple or three in a single afternoon. The biggest thing is going to be just registering for the accounts, like where you have to like sign up for a Spotify account or a Amazon account, just signing up for that. Those things just take a little bit of time. So that's really going to be after you get the first one set up and really get honed in with the process. That's what's going to take longer than anything is just setting up the syndication side.
yeah. So it's Adrian. He's asking, is it if it's one afternoon per client, and it is per client because you do need to set these accounts up. So it's yeah, it just takes time. It's kind of like setting up one campaign.
With AI, it's spoiled us though,
Yeah.
and we go back to the old school though of like when you think about how long you had to have to record a podcast itself, you would spend hours, and now you can set up a whole system in the same amount of time of just recording one to run for the rest of the year. It's absolutely incredible.
So Steve,
Uh,
he has a question. I have a unique site that's super sensitive to all things defamation. I have to scrub my content a lot. Would I be able to monitor what is produced?
100%. There's a way that you can do this with the semi-automated way is what I would recommend. That's what I was saying in the event. Like if you're having to really control the content in legal spaces, you really have to do this. So what happens is it's going to go. The process is slightly different. You will put in the keywords that you want to go after. It will create the title, create the content, create the full script. Once you approve the script, you hit publish, and then it will go out and finish the rest of it. So you can spend 10 minutes every week just going through and like looking through, making sure everything looks good, making the edits, or if you've got a VA, just making the edits, and then once it's done, you hit publish.
So if we're doing this for lead gen sites, do we need all individually branded Spotify and other accounts to syndicate to, uh, or is it okay to create under your own name?
If I'm doing this for a client or a different brand, I want them all unique for that. Now, if you are, if it's the same brand across all of these lead gen sites, you could do that. But if I'm setting this up like a client for a different brand, for each brand, I want a different accounts, and I want them all tied to that one account. And they're all going to say the exact same thing. They're all going to have the same description. They're all going to have the same thumbnails. All of that is going to be identical.
How far out are you scheduling and how often are you producing podcasts for local SEO?
For the test that we've done, I'm only doing a couple a week, and that's perfectly fine for that. Like you don't have to kill it on the number of posts that you make. So just pump out, 60 to 100 topics and do 1 to 2 a week, and you're good for a year.
And so
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it is very simple. And Steve is asking, will it police the scripts it produces? I use ChatGPT to scrub my content now.
Um, I'm sure there's probably a way, but I haven't done that because the stuff that I'm doing, I'm not having to like police my content that close. The way that I recommend is just doing like what I was saying, where you do a semi-automated way where you plug it into a sheet, and then once you give the script a look over, this is the way it's going to read exactly on the podcast. Once you give that script a look over, then you hit publish, and it will then go to the second stage, which is creating all the podcast episodes. Does that make sense, Steve?
Steve is replying, yes, that will
Okay.
work without taking too much extra time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way, because whatever the AI produces is what's going to go to the podcast. But if you did the semi, once the AI builds it, then you can give it a quick proof and just make the edits as you see fit, and then hit the publish button, and then you're off to the races. So then you just set up a time, let's say weekly. All right, I'm going to go in and like look at my different pieces of content and making sure that everything looks good.
Can we embed these once syndicated to Google Sites, Cloud Pages, Sheets, etc.?
You can embed can you still embed like just a regular site into a Google site, or like a regular, like a Spotify URL into a Google site?
I have no. That's actually a good question. I have no
I,
idea.
I have no idea on that. That would be the way.
Yeah, but Ed, you could just put the naked URL. That's what I'm doing. Just put the naked URL.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm sure that like there's no way to automate a Google site that I found, but you could put the links into like a sheet or something like that, and to all of your Spotify and your podcasting platforms as well. No, it does not spin. It does not spin tax anything. No.
Combining this with Yax, should we be hitting the Google sites for local SEO? Should we be hitting the Google sites for local SEO? Well, we do produce the Google sites for local SEO, and so my thought was that produce the cloud sites, and then you could put some links in the podcast that could point to the website, and it could point to the cloud site. So I hope that answers the question, Adrian.
You could plug in links to all of these different podcast platforms. It's like, hey, follow me over here on Spotify, follow me over here on YouTube, follow me over here on Apple or Amazon podcasts, on all of them. And you could have those links plugged into a Google site. And then if you're hitting the Google site with some links, that's going to drip out to there, and it's going to be found.
And Carl is asking, I see that you have other trainings on your site, Derek. Would any of the other ones be complementary to this training?
This is the one that I would recommend if you're interested in podcasts. We've been doing affiliate marketing and SEO for a while. I did some content creation with our AI SEO system as well, which is really good. But for building out podcast links like this is the way to go. And again, like I was saying before, this is one of the most untapped resources for SEO people that we have available right now. It's absolutely incredible, and this is something that I don't foresee there ever being a question about, you know, like the whole gray hat, black hat kind of thing, because all you're doing is you're just pumping out content on these channels and it's all branded. So this has done incredible for us.
Yeah. So we have time for one more question, or we will call it a night.
And I appreciate you letting me on here. I enjoy the questions. You got a good crowd, good advanced crowd too. They know their
Yeah, they,
stuff.
they are definitely not beginners. That's for sure. Um, yeah, Derek, thanks for coming on. And replay will be actually live right after we finish because it's streamed live in YouTube. So it will be live right away. But Derek, thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure, and it was super advanced, but it was also super good. So I think that I will definitely be rewatching it for sure.
Hey, thank you so much. And yeah, if you need help with any of it, setting it up, let me know.
Yeah, and can we get the link to purchase or LUN link? I think that Steve means link.
There you go.
Yeah, I will paste it also, but I will also paste the link to the purchase URL in the YouTube description, and also when I send out the replay, I'll also include the link to purchase.
Giddy up. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and I will stop the recording, and yeah, see you in the next one, guys. Take care.